welcome back to Building on a Budget Models for the fourth part of our Jaguar XJR-9 build. The instrument panel and steering wheel is completely separate in this car, so I had an opportunity to detail it here, add the decals, and it was nice because I was able to use my reference video. I'll fix this in later. I'd used my 9:1 mix of semi-gloss black and aluminium to recreate carbon fibre for the instrument panel as well. There were also some small decals on the wheels which I had forgotten previously. In this video I'm going to show you how I added lights to this car. Before we start though, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell button to stay notified. Now, I'd bought these lights from smallscalelights.co.uk. The battery pack took two AAAs, as you can see, and it also came with this little part here. This is the connector block, which you open with a small flathead screwdriver, and then you put the red live wire and the black neutral wire in and give it a tighten. And the micro LEDs, which were about 1 millimetre wide, you could just attach the wires into the other section, making sure that the colours were correct, and then screw them together like so. This was an important stage to test whether all of the bulbs worked, although they had been tested before they were sold to me. I'd bought 2 red lights and 4 white lights. I decided to paint the inside of the light housings on the car in silver as they would be on the real one. These would have to be drilled through to allow the micro LED to go through to the body. And I also needed to drill into the backs as well. Did these about 1.5 millimetre thick to make them large enough for the micro LED to pass through. Let's do 6 holes in total. Oh, plus the 4 on these. These were quite flimsy, so I had to be careful when I was drilling, as I didn't want to bend them or crack them in any way. You can see here how I have drilled through the centre of all 4 of them, and in the backs of the car as well. Use your clippers to remove some of the excess plastic after you've done this, and then I started to use some super glue to fix the light housings into place. I tried not to put glue over the holes, as this would prevent them from being fitted. I then used some red, orange and yellow Sharpie on the tail lights, as you can see here, to replicate the real ones. Fortunately, there are lines on these lights that help you get them in the right place. I only wanted the LEDs to light up the far red ones, so on the backs of these I coated the lights that I didn't want to be illuminated in a bit of aluminium, which would hopefully prevent the light from bleeding through underneath. Then used a little bit of white PVA to fit these lights into position. And they fit really nicely, snapping into place. I also used some white PVA to fit the clear headlight lenses onto the front. They're slightly different, the bottom and the top ones, so it's important to read the instructions carefully. I also used the drill here to make sure that the holes were lined up properly. While I was letting the glue dry, I decided to put one of the decals onto the lap timer machine on the dash. I'd already done the dash in anthracite matte to replicate the flocking that would be used on the real dash, as you can see here. The lap timer machine is blue with a black matte on top. I then added the dashboard, which I had painted previously. Fitted quite nicely. I painted the air intake cover here in a mixture of semi-gloss and black matte, and it fit nicely as well. I positioned the LEDs in pairs, so the first thing that I did was twist the red and black wires at the contact end together to make them easier to manoeuvre. I also found that these micro tweezers were really useful to position the LEDs into the slots I'd created using the drill. When I was happy that I'd positioned them correctly, I tested them and then used a little bit of Revell Contactor Clear glue to fit them into place. Using this kind of glue is useful because it dries clear and also will not damage the wires or the bulbs. I left that for a good few hours to make sure that it cured. When I was sure that it fitted into place, I then used some masking tape to fit the wires into the places. I used this instead of glue as I could be sure that it wouldn't damage the wires, and I could always move them if I wasn't happy with where they were fitting underneath the body. I tried to fit the battery pack inside and it just didn't work. Here's a test. There was still a little bit of light bleeding through into some of the vents and under the wheel arches, but I was happy with how it looked. So I got some Revell matte black paint and dabbed it onto the back of the LEDs to prevent the light from bleeding out underneath the car's body. This worked quite nicely. I also used a little bit of leftover mesh from some of my Tamiya models to add some mesh to the front here, either side of the main air intake. The real car has this mesh, presumably to stop stones from entering into the body of the work of the car. I then trimmed them a little bit once they'd dried using some nail scissors. I used my fine Tamiya brush to add some iron and aluminium paint to the fuel caps. This clear part needs to go on the roof. Part of it needs to be coloured purple and then the other bit needs to be kept clear and then coloured in a different colour depending on which car it is, and then fitted to the roof. I believe it was used to help the pit crew see which car was which during the night part of the race. This cap on the side of the car needs to be done in a dark colour such as anthracite or black. And I also used some aluminium on the end of a toothpick just to pick out some of the screws and clips on different parts of the car. Be nice to have some photo etch for things like this, but There we are. I decided, as I was happy with the lights, I was going to add the covers to the lights themselves. I had done the edges of the lights on the inside in a little bit of Humbrol British Racing Green, and then used some white PVA very carefully around the edge to fit them into place. I'm disappointed that I couldn't put the battery pack underneath the car itself, but I've decided that having it outside will give me an opportunity to control the lights more easily, and also this car has such a massive rear wing that I can hide it under that. Here is the car with the body onto the chassis, and here it is with the lights on. I know that a Group C car would have had more of a warm yellow light than this, but I still am really happy with how this looks, especially considering this is the first car I've ever lit. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.